What's going on, everybody? Josh Morris with the Everything Paranormal Show. And tonight we're going to be talking about what to do when you are haunted and you have nowhere to go to right away. This is for those people that experience paranormal activity. They don't know what to do about it right away. They're usually going to try to start seeking people's help, but in the meantime, while they're waiting to get help, we want to talk about things that you can do, things that you can recognize, just different type of hauntings, those type of things. So you definitely want to watch this. We got a lot of great advice. Also, we do get a lot of viewer interaction at times. So hopefully, you guys, if you have questions, feel free to pop it in there, and we'll get to you. So, guys, without further ado, let's get the party started. And yes, if you noticed, we did start out with a little bit of a holiday edition, a Halloween edition, so to speak. Because guess what, guys? I'm excited. This is the last day of September. Tomorrow's the 1st of October. We've really got into the Halloween season already. Technically, like mid-September, you can start getting in the spirit. But now we're really going to be kicking it into that true Halloween spirit. So again, I like to do each of these as Halloween edition. As we get closer, we got some other special shows over this next, few Thursdays before we get to Halloween. Some pretty fun stuff. We'll talk about, some classic Hollywood monsters, maybe even how Halloween came along. These type of things. We want to really dive into some good holiday fun. So, guys, let's start getting into some of this. I really want to address some things. First of all, before we get started, guys, I know that some of you know that I got into an accident last week. I hit a deer. It totaled my Jeep. The front end of it was smashed because, unfortunately, I hit the deer. It was like 60 miles an hour. It was just one of those situations. But I'm okay. Everything's fine. But it did set us back. If you guys know me, you guys follow me, you know that I work all the time. And so not having that vehicle really hurt. But in any case, there's my new car. So just got it the other day. Had to drive to Murfreesboro, Tennessee to get about 4.5 hours. But now with my new vehicle, I'm going to be getting lots of gas mileage. Apparently those get up to about 40 miles per gallon highway for that to 2016. And I guess that particular year did better. Some of the other years were like 30s, but that one got up to 40. So I made sure I secured that because, as you guys know, my job also is, driving a couple hundred miles every night. In fact, I got to work after the show tonight. So how you folks doing out there? If you're out there watching, shout, make sure you say something in the chat. Let me know you're there. Give me a shout out. I'll give you a shout out also. So, guys, let's get into this. So, if you're watching this and you are, if you're starting to experience paranormal activity, maybe you don't have someone to turn to. Maybe you have a team locally. It's going to be really tough. So that we're going to talk about some things that you can do, hopefully to start giving yourself a little bit of relief. Also, where you can turn to, and some things to look out for, some things to keep in mind when you're shopping around for paranormal investigators. It's very important because, well, we'll get into that. So the first thing is when you first start to find out that you have paranormal activity, the biggest thing I would say is right off the bat, like, don't panic. Don't panic. And I know it's really hard. My wife and I, now remember, Terry Lynn's not here tonight. She's my wife. She's been with me for many years. We've done this together. So some of the advice, some of the things that I talk about, these are things that she would bring up to you if we were in a real conversation. So I'm kind of speaking on her behalf as well. But the first thing is, again, don't panic. I know it's tough. Sometimes you're getting in situations where you could be getting scratched. possibly animals getting hurt, or again, situations, homes almost catching on fire. These are all things that you know, I know that people experience, and we have a case right now. I don't want to, give out any information right now, but we have a case right now where there's some things going on like that. But again, throughout the years, we've kind of seen a lot of different things, and there's some things that sometimes happen that are somewhat common, or things that we see happen often. And again, that's why I want to try to address those. There's always going to be unique situations. Okay, so keep that in mind. But you're going to want to stay calm. Don't feed, right? Don't feed the bears. I mean, don't feed the ghosts. don't feed Yogi. No picnic baskets, right? But don't feed the ghost. So, in other words, stay calm as best as you can. Remember, spirits, ghosts, entities, however you want to phrase it. When you're being haunted, you probably don't care about terminology, right? But they're going to thrive on energy, things like that. So if you start putting those emotions, you're elevating your PKE, right? Your psychokinetic energy, and you're starting to put that out in the universe, and you're sort of feeding these ghosts, feeding these poltergeists, or whatever it is. So do your best. Do yourself a favor. Try to stay calm. I know it's tough, but try to stay calm as much as you possibly can. And you're going to want to start getting some protection going. Okay? That's really one of the first things you really want to do. So before we get into that, so you might be asking yourself, why am I being haunted? Why am I having a ghost haunt me? What's going on? So there's going to be a number of reasons why you could be getting haunted, and every case is unique, and it really just sort of depends on certain indicators. It could be the location itself. There's a few different types of paranormal that you should be aware of, in case you don't know. I think most of you know these things. It's going to be pretty basic for some of you, but we need to talk about them just in case. So one type of haunting is residual. Okay, residual in theory is that when there's events that happen, this type of energy, then the events basically can play over and over like a tape recorder. Okay, some of this residual energy, again, they say could be locked in place by the minerals, the stones that are in that area, limestone, things like that. Certain types of stones in your area could be more conducive for that. So again, some of these battles, like Gettysburg, stuff like that, you might have some reoccurring, that traumatic energy could be reoccurring like a tape player and just repeating itself over and over and over. And it's something that you usually don't interact with. There's not really an intelligence behind it. Again, that type of haunting. So it can be scary. Also, another type is intelligent. Now, this is a type where you can interact with these spirits. This is the times when you can go in there and talk to somebody. Hey, Facebook user, I'm not sure who you are. Is it Robert? I don't know. See, it says Facebook user. So, so Facebook user, you can always let me know your name so I know who you are. But anyways, so but yes, you definitely have. Oh, so as we're getting into the types, see, I get sidetracked sometimes. Like somebody popped in, hey, but that's how we do it here. I see you, you see me. Hey, what's going on? It's good to see you. But yes, so the different types, again, intelligent, right? So intelligent type of haunting, this is where you're going to be able to interact with something. That's not always a good thing, right? So that's a form. Now, another form, this is where there is some debate, I guess, in the paranormal community as how to define this. But sort of a third type that I like to define as poltergeist. Again, this has been used different ways. The way I like to define a poltergeist is is sort of a manifested energy created from that, like PKE, a collection of energy, and it tends to move a lot of objects, things like that. Thus, the German translation of noisy ghost. So typically, poltergeist is that other type where there doesn't seem to be an intelligence, but things are happening. Objects are moving, things are happening, but there doesn't seem to be any kind of intelligence behind it. And this can be created from extremely stressful situations in homes. Sometimes you can have pre-pubescent teenagers when they're going through a lot of that teen angst, especially in young females. There is can create poltergeist situations. So that's something to be conscious of. And the fourth is I have a separate category, which is demonic. And this is typically when you start getting into actual demon cases, demonic cases. These are very rare. I know a lot of people tend to have negative things happen to them, i.e., just, again, bad things going on in their life, scratch, biting, things like that, negative things. That does not always mean a demonic presence. And I'm going to talk more about that, how we start to clarify some of that. But so don't panic. Demonic activity tends to be very rare. Okay, I'm not trying to jinx myself here. Knock on wood, right? If you're superstitious. But it does tend to be. And the reason why I can say this is because, again, I've gone to tons of cases over the years, and most of them don't turn out to ever be demonic. But just keep that in mind. It could be. So we always want to try to figure it out. So Facebook user said, me. That helps me. Thanks. Thanks, me. So Facebook users watching. See, that's the only bad thing about StreamYard. If I can't see who you are, it just says Facebook user. And so, but yes. Hi, me. Okay. So now that you kind of know there's different types. Also, here's something I want to address, and this is something again that we also see, and that is a type of person that tends to get haunted a lot, and they don't realize it, is people with special abilities. And what I mean by that is people that are sensitive or potentially psychic, things like that. Okay, so I know it's you. It says it's me, silly, but it's not like I can hear you. It says Facebook user. So, anyways, but again, the people that tend to get haunted are Facebook user. See, you got me saying Facebook user, but no, but people that are, again, sensitive, maybe psychic abilities, clairvoyant abilities, could be a combination of abilities. But in either case, so some of these people they've experienced things since childhood, and they just kind of brush it off, or they don't understand it, and maybe they get scared of it. Whatever it is, they don't know how to use their abilities. But the problem is that if you can imagine a dark room, they stand out like a beacon, right? They shine a little brighter. Okay. Like The Shining, right? But no, they do. They shine out. They shine a little brighter. So ghosts are attracted to individuals that have that abilities to be more sensitive to the afterlife. Because they want to try to get your attention, because, again, they see that you have that abilities, and they want to try to. Tara. Yeah, sometimes, the Facebook user thing, Tara, it's, again, you probably just have to go in, and sometimes you have to give permission, but that's okay. I'm glad you could make it. So hopefully you're listening. But yes, when you have abilities, it's very important you understand that. And again, we get a lot of clients that come to us and they say, well, by the way, I've had abilities since I was a child. but I just, for whatever reasons, and everybody has their own little stories on it, really. But that's good. You should embrace that. Now, some people don't want to develop it. Like they're like, look, I have no desire to become like a full blown psychic or clairvoyant or whatever. And that's understandable. But remember, you have these gifts. Okay. And you need to at least learn how to manage them. Right. So it's just like when you find out you have some kind of long term, chronic, I don't want to say illness, but something that you have to learn to deal with as a human being. So in this case, you should at least learn how to manage that. All right. And we'll get into some of that here in a little bit. So the first thing you want to do to get yourself some relief is it's going to be one of a couple things. One, you could turn to some crystals. Okay. That's going to be something I will cover here in a second. Or if you have a religious background and say you're Christian or some other denomination, maybe, but maybe you can use some religious symbols like crosses and things like that. Mother Mary, different, Virgin Guadalupe, different things. If that makes you feel better and you're part of that religion and it has that symbols and those things. Now, of course, you don't, a crucifix is just a crucifix. It's just wood, plastic, whatever it is. It's the intent behind it. It's using the power that's behind that crucifix. So keep that in mind. If you're going to use religious symbols, make sure that you believe in that in your heart. So as they would say, you got to get right with Jesus. All right. If you're a Christian, you're going to want to get right with Jesus, and those symbols will help you. Crucifixes and things like that. If you're a Christian, again, if you're not a Christian and you want solutions, you want help, again, you're going to have to turn to other conventional things like crystals. Now, I'm a Christian, but I also do both. I have the power of Christ, and I also use crystals as well for localized protection. But again, Christ is my overall worldly and beyond protection, so to speak, my soul. But again, I'm trying to give everybody advice here. So now, crystals. This is very important. So, Tara, listen up, because I know Tara is starting to get into some things. So again, it's tough when and I understand, like you might not have a budget. I know what that's like. Trust me, I don't make tons of money. I make a pretty good amount of money. I'm not going to lie, but I have a lot of expenses. So I always have to work. You guys know I'm always working, but I don't have a lot of money to spend on a budget. So this crystal, right? My clear quartz. Everybody sees this. This is what I wear all the time. You guys always see me wearing this. Okay, I don't wear it 24/7. I don't wear it to my first job. I do wear it for my second job. I don't wear it to bed. I put it up on my dresser. And from time to time, I cleanse it and reprogram it every so often. Of course, I try to take it out, get some sun. But my clear quartz, again, the quartz itself, this crystal, it was just the rock. Okay. So let me see here. So you guys can see. Let me try to bring this up a little bit. So you can see the rock here is that there I got in Asheville when I just happened to be in Asheville, and we went to this crystal shop, and it sort of called out to me, and I saw it, and I'm like, man, I just had that feeling like I had to buy that, and it wasn't that expensive. I was able to get that. Now, as you guys seen, the wrap on there, we went down the street, and this leather, this German leather, whatever it is, I think or Italian leather, I don't know, it was something like that. But it's just a small little length of rope. I was able to cut it. There was like a little jewelry making shop. It was like downtown Asheville, And I sat there and made the necklace part um, for real cheap. Believe it or not, it didn't cost much, but I made it myself. And then as far as the wrap, this is just that brass wire. You can get a spool of it, again, pretty cheap. And I went online, saw some different ways to wrap things, and I customized and wrapped this myself with like some needle nose pliers and stuff, and did that. Try to do a good job, and I do get some compliments on it, so that's cool. But again, sometimes you have to do what you have to do because you don't want to just carry this around your pocket. Now before I had the wrap and I had the necklace, there's like these little springy, you can stretch them out, put your crystal in, it'll stretch. There's little things that you can use and clasp on, or you can just keep it in your pocket until you can, wrap it yourself. All right. So as far as what to buy, now amethyst is good. Okay. I know that Tara out there, she got amethyst. And that's a good thing. Okay. Amethyst is good, very positive energy. And again, you can program your crystals. So when you first find a crystal that seems to call out to you, okay, and I believe that the amethyst is, called out to Tara, and she picked it. It was the right one, and she didn't know anything about crystals, so it must have picked her. So as an example, what you're going to want to do is take that crystal home, take some just run your tap water gently, and you can run that crystal under the tap water. You can even just rub the crystal a little bit with your fingers, kind of cleaning it off with your fingers a little bit. Obviously have clean hands first. But that's really all you're doing to actually cleanse it. And this is getting rid of anybody else's aura that's touched it, anybody else's mojo or juju, or whatever you want to call it. But anybody that was at the store and maybe touched that crystal, maybe even the people that made it, you just want to cleanse it and make it your crystal. Okay. Once you cleanse the crystal, okay, you can pat it dry. And what I do is you hold that crystal in your hand, hold it near your heart, and you think about what you need that crystal to do for you. If you need it to protect you against negative spirits, you can ask the crystal to give you protection against negative spirits. So you, in a sense, you program that crystal to help you out. Now, again, you want to keep that on you. So how far does the crystal work? I don't know if there's like set radiuses. It does seem to give you about the distance of a room, as far as protection. So if you go to bed at night and it's programmed and everything, take your crystal off, put it on your nightstand or nearby, and it still will protect you. Okay. The other thing is, don't let anybody else touch your crystal. Again, you don't want, if somebody else accidentally, they come up and they just kind of grab. Some people are like real invasive, right? Like your friends or something. They just come up and they pick it up and they're like, "Ooh, look at this." They're like, "Okay, yeah, dude, cool, whatever. Don't, you're not supposed to touch my crystal." "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that." Take it home, cleanse it, do it again. Okay. So just wanted to let you know that. Definitely go and cleanse your crystal. But guys, okay, so amethyst is good for positive energy. You can wear that around. That will help give you that protection. Rose quartz as well. Sometimes getting a rose quartz, keeping it in your pocket, can also give you some good protection. I've got a clear quartz, sort of the master of some crystals. Now, there's really important things about your quartz, and I don't really want to get into too much, but there's also, based on the face of your crystal, however many sides, it's supposed to mean certain things. There's different versions of that crystal, and so again, once you get that, again, and this is for that, You can always research as well, like if you could look up crystals. I'm not going to get into a whole crystal video. I'm not an expert. I'm just trying to help you get through to some things that can help you. Now, another thing that can really help your bedroom or your certain rooms in your house is there's two black stones. One is jet and the other is shungite. Okay? Jet and shungite. Very cheap. And if you just get yourself, I like to get like a jet and a shungite, and I like to put, just two there, and they're little, just little black stones, and you can put them in your windowsills or just somewhere in your room on a dresser somewhere, and keep those in there. Now we also have, like in my wife's, right by near her bed or on her dresser, we have a selenite lamp, really nice, large positive energy. Selenite puts out a lot of positive energy. So again, you don't have to go crazy and have like ton of crystals. Like I said, if you can only get the one crystal, that's what you want for protection. That's going to at least protect you as an individual when you have that nearby. In the future, once you can maybe get some more stones, be selective. If you only have a few bucks and you're near a rock shop or something, then go in there and find a piece of jet or find a piece of shungite. These are going to help protect. These are defensive type stones. And those, again, place one in the room that you want to have the defense in. Start putting one in each bedroom and then work your way to the living rooms. I always like to protect the bedrooms the most because that's where you're going to be the most vulnerable. Okay? When you're in there, think about it. You're sleeping, and this is where spirits are trying to get your attention while you're sleeping, and you can experience night terrors, nightmares. It's not good. So we're going to cover some nightmare stuff as well. People, when they're getting terrorized at night, we want to talk about that also. So I hope I covered the crystals for you guys. I think that's kind of the basic. There's all kinds of other crystals out there. Don't get me wrong. But those are just some of the four basic crystals for protection, or five for protection and positive energy. So clear crystal like mine is good for programming. But amethyst, right? Amethyst is very good. That's the purple one, right? And then a couple black stones, jet and shungite, and then also selenite. Okay, selenite, very positive energy, very affordable. All these are very affordable, easy to get. Selenite, they make the selenite wands and stuff. Like if you're a Harry Potter type and you like the selenite wands, you want to get into that. Actually, I don't want to say Harry Potter because that was more, but I'm just saying they do the wands. They make selenite wands. But again, hopefully that'll help you out for that. So that's a couple things you can do just immediately if you can do that. Now, again, if you just cannot get a crystal at all, again, if you're not religious, that's going to set you back a little bit. And I'm not meaning anything mean by it. I'm just saying if you're not religious and you can't get any stones, that's going to help kind of set you back a little bit. So you really, really want to try to get some kind of relief. But it's also about intent. So let's talk about intent. Okay? Most all of us, or I should probably say all of us, really have the power. People sometimes think that spirits and these negative entities are tormenting and they're attacking and all these things. And really, we have the power to make it stop. Believe it or not, sometimes it doesn't seem that way, but we do. We have the power to make it stop. This power was given to us by God. We have that power to make things stop. So if you're in a situation and say you're in your bedroom and you've got, something in there, and it's bothering you, you can tell it to stop and get out of your room. You can say, leave me alone, get out of my room. I forbid you. Do not come into this room. Leave me alone. You're being banished. You can tell the spirit what it's going to do. You have that power. Okay, so I want to encourage you, If you don't have a crystal, you don't have these things, you can take control. Okay, so some people have a hard time with that. It's, some people do. They have a hard time taking control. They're sort of engrossed by some fear. Again, try to stay calm, get you some protection. That's the first few steps. Now, again, again, like we were talking about, if you're sensitive, I want to touch on this because this is a very common type of haunting. A lot of people that come to us and they're like, hey, can you help me out? We find out that they were sensitive individuals. So this is important. One is, remember, a lot of what you're experiencing, it's not always what it is at face value. So in other words, if you're getting scratched, poked, bit, things like that, remember, that doesn't always mean that they're actually trying to harm you, but these are ways that they're trying to get your attention, okay? So remember that. Some spirits may not know how to get your attention any other way, okay? It's I guess it's kind of like, the best way I could say is like if they have certain options that they're trying to do, they just might not be able to do anything, or they may be trying to touch you and they keep scratching you or whatever. They may not understand that it's scratching you versus touching you, okay? But they're trying to touch you to get your attention. There's all kinds of things like that. Bottom line is, don't take everything at face value. Sometimes you have to look at it a little differently and realize that they are just trying to get your attention. Okay. Why would they be getting their attention? Well, one, they may just need to be heard. Okay. So for example, we had a spirit recently. It was a female that passed away. She was in a car accident here locally in Bristol, Tennessee, and she just wanted to be heard. So, but again, how do we know that? Well, my wife and I, again, our house, we have protection in our bedrooms and things. So our hallway, which doesn't have any kind of protection, our hallway light started flickering and all this stuff. And we're like, man, what the heck, And so my wife's like, whoever's doing that, you need to stop. And then it stopped. So we're like, okay, something is probably trying to get our attention. So again, instead of being afraid, instead of going, oh my God, this is freaky because everything's flickering and it's like a horror movie, sometimes you just have to stop and say, okay, what do you want? Let's, they're trying to get your attention. So when we had told it to stop, it stopped. And then later on, we went back to doing what we're doing. And then later on, it started flickering again. We're like, okay, stop. And then it stopped. And then we went back. And then that's when we broke out the dowsing rods and did a communication session. These are dowsing rods. Okay. So we broke out the dowsing rods. We did a communication session. And that's when we actually found out. Because we almost thought maybe it was my grandfather, because my grandfather did pass away recently. But I don't like to just say, oh, this is probably my grandfather, whatever. We always try to remain open-minded. And so we did the communication session, and that's when we found out through questioning that it was a female. She was local. She's local to the Bristol area. She wasn't from our neighborhood, but she had been in a car accident, and she didn't really want any help. She didn't need any help crossing over. She didn't want us to send any messages to her family. She didn't want really anything other than just to let us know or just to be heard. So, folks, keep that in mind sometimes, that these spirits, even though they're doing spooky stuff, sometimes they just want to be heard. Now, the funny thing is, once we talk to her, we haven't had the lights flicker since. So it's pretty cool in that sense, that confirmation. But again, every spirit is different. So don't just think that, and also I'm going to get I'm going to get to something else. So pay attention. All right. So, yes, don't take matters in your own hands. If you're not experienced, then don't just say, oh, well, Josh said that they're probably just wanting to be heard. So let me talk to them. Let me break out the Ouija board or spirit board, or let me break out the dowsing rods, or let me go get some dowsing rods, or let me get a pendulum, or Let me have an EVP session, right? So don't go run out and try to communicate with the spirits. Don't try to do your own investigation. Seek help first. Remember, this is advice for those of you that are not experienced in this. Get some help first. Reach out, talk to somebody. You're going to need mentoring. You're going to need somebody to come out and show you how to do these things safely. Because the other common thing that a lot of people do is they don't say anything to people about it. They try to handle it themselves. They talk to these spirits. They keep doing these things. They break out Ouija boards, whatever it is. And then they make it worse. They make it worse because now you might be opening portals and you may be letting other spirits in. Now you have multiple entities in your home and all competing to get your attention. It gets really bad. Okay. So, hello, First Serve Tennis. Oops. So yes. So remember that, folks. You can make things worse. So don't do that. Okay. Stay calm. Do like we talk about so far. Stay calm. Right. And get you some protection. Right. Whether it's crystals, religious objects, get right with Jesus, whatever it is. But get you some protection. That's going to help bring some comfort. Kind of that immediate relief first. Now, there's another thing that I'm going to talk about for immediate comfort. Okay. Beyond the Veil. Yes. So Beyond the Veil, Tara Lynn, my wife. Hey, honey. She said Tara was talking to you on Facebook. Yeah, I know. That's what I was addressing her in the show as well, a little bit as far as I didn't tell anybody about her specific stuff, but just wanted to address some things with her since I thought it'd be a good show, honey, if we told people on how to sort of kind of get relief, when you don't have that immediate help. And so I'm giving them some advice that you normally would give people. So I'm talking for you too. So yeah, Tara was wanted to be on the show tonight, but again, we rushed around. She was, tired. It's been a long day, so she just didn't have time to get ready. So, and sometimes just gets worn out. Doesn't feel good, and so. But at least you're here. I love you. Okay. So yes. So spirits can want your attention. They can do these. Now, other things that they could do is you got to remember, sometimes they may want help. They might want help with sending message. They may want help for crossing over. They may want help in solving their death. Like maybe they were murdered. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe they don't fully realize that they're dead. There's a lot of things that it could be. So you have to try to nail that down. But again, before you do that, you want to get help. You want to get help. One more thing before we talk about getting help. Actually, before we even do that, check this out. Well, hello, happy Halloween. I love your costume. Very simplistic. I love the sheet. Would you like some candy? Hello? Hello? Okay. Just gonna go back in. Guys, go check it out. Anyways, all right. So before you go get help, one more thing that you can do for relief, and this is something that was passed on to us by Stacy Talich, who is, if any of you guys have watched, he's been on my show multiple times. He's on the Paranormal Council with us. Very educated guy. But In the world of paranormal, listen, I want you guys to pay attention to this. In the world of paranormal, nobody's really a truly expert. So sometimes certain people know certain things than others. So, like my wife and I, we know a lot of things from experience, but we don't know it all. And so, like Stacy, he knows a lot of things. But one of the things that he helped, like, so even for us, we need help sometimes. And so Terry Lynn was experiencing night terrors and nightmares, all the stuff. So one of the things that Stacy suggested is a bowl of water under the bed. Now, I know some of you may go, a bowl of water under the bed. Now, maybe some of you have heard of it. But before you kind of discount it, I want you to, again, I'm not going to truly get behind it, but inherently, apparently, ghosts are mostly dehydrated and they actually need water for energy and stuff. Well, anyways, so if you take that bowl of water and you put it under your bed, directly under where your head lies, so pretty much like where your pillow is. So if you put it under your bed where your pillow is, again, under your bed, not under your pillow. Clean water, just can be, an inch or two of water in like a Tupperware bowl or something. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Put that under there, and this will actually help to get rid of your night terrors. I know it sounds crazy, but it is one of the greatest pieces of advice that Stacy gave us. And let me tell you something, it works. My wife and I are always somewhat skeptical for some reason, even though we've been doing this for so long. We've always been skeptical of certain things. But in this case, it works. We change the water every night before bed. And the times when we forget the water, like a few days ago, I guess my son knocked over the water so we don't, okay, and I want to cover this too. Some beds, like ours, has one of those where my wife sleeps, has that rollout pop-up bed, like a trundle or whatever. So you can't put the water under the bed. So we have to put the water near the bed, near where her head is. And that works. Well, unfortunately, my son knocked it over, whatever. So my wife forgot, and she woke up with a huge headache, from like probably nightmares. And then she saw that the water was empty, or the bowl. She went in, filled it up, put it back by her bed, went back to sleep, woke up, and her headache was gone, and she felt better. So again, it does work, folks. If my wife forgets to do the water, then she has a very restless nights. So if you're experiencing those type of things with your haunting, do that. Do the bowl of water thing. Trust me, it will work. It's going to give you some relief while you at least sleep. Now, again, this is not protecting you, so to speak, or other things, but this is going to help those night terrors. Now, again, when you're up, you want to have that crystal. You want to have these things, if you can, try to wear it, have it on you, near you. That way, again, sort of protecting your personal body. Now, that doesn't mean that paranormal activity won't happen in your home still. It still can happen in parts of your home. It's just going to protect yourself, your body, from a lot of times from even like possession and things like that. You want to have that protection. So that's really important. Now, I want to cover a little bit before it gets too late. I want to cover picking the right investigators. So this is another common problem. People look around their area, and it's hard sometimes. It's hard to find out who's in your area, things like that. But do your best to try to find somebody that is credible. Ask them questions if you have to. Ask them how long they've been doing this. Ask them, what type of methods that they use. Do they normally help people? Because almost all true paranormal, if you're a true investigator that wants to help people, then you're going to you're going to have solutions for them. You're going to have those type of things. You're going to teach your clients, and that's one thing that happened to us right now is we have a client that needs help. They had other people in the past. Those people pretty much left without giving them any answers or real solutions. So all they did in effect was make things worse for this individual. Whereas we're now trying to come in, help get this person relief. And then also, we're going to do some investigating and start trying to narrow things down and find out what they have on hand, but then also how to manage it. And we're going to work with them on how to manage things and give them something to take control and do better for themselves in the future. And it's a very successful process if your clients, have faith in you and they trust in the process and they believe in you. But if you don't give them any kind of hope or solution, then why would they trust you? Why would they believe you if you're just there to like film videos and only hope to just capture activity? But if you can't give them answers and you can't give them solutions, then why are you really there? If you're there at that point, you're just there for your own selfishness. So again, this is why you really want to find that investigator. And that may even mean, reach out. Even if you reach out, if you're watching this video and you have a problem, you can reach out to me. And if we can't personally go and help you now, again, this person I just mentioned, we're going to go to their, they're in our local area. Now there's some people that are they're going to be too far away and I can't, but that doesn't mean you can't come to us and message me and Terry Lynn and say, hey, I'm having these problems. I'm in Colorado or whatever. It don't matter where you're at. But if you have problems, we can consult with you and we can keep working with you. And if you find somebody in your area, you can talk to us and we can help screen those individuals. If you find a couple teams and you're just like, I don't know who to use, but it's better to try to get somebody in there that's not going to make things worse versus getting somebody in there just because you just want to hurry up and get somebody in there and they make it worse. Again, that's not good. So just keep that in mind, folks. I just wanted to make sure you guys understood that. So, all right. So I haven't seen any questions pop in there. So that's good. It looks like our audience numbers are a little low tonight. I'm not sure. I know we had a couple of our regulars. That's why we had to do the Paranormal Council last week instead of tonight, because I know we had some regulars that were out doing some things and whatnot. So I know we lost a few other people for tonight's show that we normally have in the chat. But if you guys have any questions out there, please, again, go ahead, get it in the chat. I just really wanted to make a video that, people can click on, they can watch. I know it's live. It's not scripted. It's probably going to be boring at times to listen to me drone on about some of this stuff. But if you truly are haunted and you are experiencing problems, then the words that I'm telling you are very much accurate. Very much accurate. So what's some things that you should look out for especially with teams? And that is opening and closing sessions. So Tara said, can you bring the rods? Yeah, that is a tool that we usually bring everywhere we go. So we very much use our rods. Now, again, and this is what I'm talking about. Now, rods are similar to crystals in the sense that you can let people use them, but you really want to have these aligned with your energy. So this is like my set. Terry Lynn has her own set, and I pretty much let these rods for the energy, but absolutely, we do incorporate. Like I said, we tend to, when we do investigations, we bring some basic tools. We kind of know which tools we want to use first to really kind of see what's going on. Some of the other tools are just for like show purposes, like if you just wanted to do something for like the cameras and show off fancy gadgets and stuff like that. But most investigations you can do with just some basic standard stuff. We like to bring a few other little toys as well, though, again, just to try to narrow down some things. Dowsing rods, maybe even spirit boxes. I'm not a big fan of spirit boxes. in one sense, but it is kind of nice to try them. And then of course audio recorders are a very big thing. You want to go back. I don't always use audio recorders when I'm filming like certain locations, when I'm filming stuff, because it's a whole big thing of audio to go through, a lot of evidence review. But when I do residential cases, I do like to have these audio recorders running because again, you definitely get some voices that come through at times, and they will lead to some things. Are rods like using a pendulum, or are they a different energy? I mean, I look at all communication devices for the most part are about the same thing. You're communicating with spirits. You're using tools, whether it's a Ouija board or pendulum or whatever it is. Now, some can split hairs on semantics. Some people can say, "Hey, Ouija boards, the spirits are moving the planchette." Some people say they're using your hands. Some some people think that Ouija boards are just the worst thing. Some people say they're the same. There's a lot out there, but your dowsing rods are all the same thing. Except the thing is, I'm just not a fan of the pendulums because I don't know. It's just you kind of hanging the thing there, and it starts kind of going, and I like seeing that. I like seeing the rods like tell me boom, or push apart or whatever. This is really cool, and I like to hold those rods. And the way I hold them, I just chicken wing it, tuck my arms in, and I just lock in, and I just try to hold them steady and ask questions. And then when they start moving, to me, it's still really cool because you sort of almost feel the rods move. And remember, and like I've showed people in the past, this is the handle. Okay, this turns on its own. I don't know if you can see it turn, but it's independent of the rod. So when I'm holding the rods, see, and technically it can swing. I have to kind of turn it, like I have to manually swing it. But so when you're holding it, this rod is going to move on its own, so to speak. I'm not touching this part I'm not touching the rod itself. It's in, I'm only holding on to the sleeve. So again, I try to really get that through to people's heads when you're watching somebody with the dowsing rods. Now, there is dowsing rods that don't have a sleeve. It's just bent copper. I'm not a big fan of those because, again, you don't honestly know if they're trying to turn the rods or manipulate the rods. When you're holding the sleeves, the rods are freely moving. So, again, there's a lot of arguments about them. Some say micro movements. There's all kinds of things. Bottom line is, I like them. I feel the energy. Like I can feel the spirits when they move the rods into that cross pattern. They move them apart. You can clearly see something is moving. They're not just moving weird different ways, like because of your movements. They're moving in set patterns. So people sit there and say, well, your micro movements, you're moving around, your little micro movements. No, it's the energy that you're giving these rods energy, and the spirits are using the rod energy to move them. It's really cool. I really enjoy using the rods because they really are a good visual representation. And, we had learned a lot about using them from SRS Paranormal. And I think one of the things that always stuck with me was when Matt had told me that the rods, he got to the point where like the rods, he doesn't even use them really anymore because it's like you kind of get trained when you ask these questions, you kind of already know the response. Like you become almost like the rods, like whether they're going to say yes or no. And I get that, and that's kind of how like I am, in that with that sensitivity. But at the same time, I still use them because I want you guys to see that visual answer. Because you guys, I could just be like, I could ask something and I might know it's yes, But if I say it, you guys are going to believe me. Like, hey, the spirit said yes, and you're going to be like, whatever, dude. No, I want you to see whatever the rods see, and plus, but it really helps to narrow down. You just have to ask a variety of questions in that form of questions, right? You have to ask that, are you a male? Yes or no. So you want to ask all of your questions in that form of yes or no. Now, the exciting thing is when you ask it to use both rods and point. If you're in the room, like if you're like, are you in the room? Yes or no. And if it says like yes, like, can you point to us where you're in the room? Use both rods. So when you see both rods like point, to a direction, it's pretty creepy. It really is. So I love using them. Again, I'm just not a big fan of the pendulum because it's hard for people to kind of see the pendulum and really translate which direction it's going, clockwise, counterclockwise, swinging, while like the different things, right? It doesn't make for as exciting of questioning and communication, in my opinion. So take that for what you will. That's a lot. I probably went on too far about rods, but hopefully I see you that answered your question. So, and then some. Now, I do want to say that, again, remember, folks, I know we talk a lot about like spirits and getting your attention, and a lot of times they just want to be heard. They want to have messages, those type of things. So it was great. Thank you. But I know we talk about that. But one thing I definitely want to point out to you guys is, yes, there can be nefarious spirits. Okay. These in the best way that is, look, if they were an a-hole in real life, they're going to probably be an a-hole in the afterlife. Okay. So remember that. All right. Some of these spirits are nefarious and they're just up to no good. Why? Again, because they were a-holes. So it's really hard to say. Again, this is why you have to really try to figure out what you're working with. Now, when you are sensitive and you draw spirits to you, you can get both. You can get good ones, bad ones, in the middle, things like that. Most of the time, you're going to get the curious ones that want to communicate. Keep in mind. So you might say, well, Josh, if I'm a beacon in the light, in the darkness, if I have these powers, these sensitivity powers, wouldn't I get a lot of negative ghosts? And the answer, I think, is no. And the reason why is it seems to be that negative spirits want to feed on people that are powerless and that are fear, right? For them, the more fear that they can instill, that the more PKE they can get, the more energy they can get. When they see people that are beacons of the light, yes, you still could get some of them. Maybe they're negative and they want to be heard or whatever. But you got to remember, a lot of times these ghosts are trying to stay away from the light. They don't want to be judged. They don't want to go to somebody that is standing out in the light because they don't know what your abilities truly are. You could have the power to banish them or whatever, and so they may stay away from you. So remember that, folks, is sometimes when you have abilities, the spirits don't always know truly what your abilities are, or they know that you could always improve your abilities. So there is a reason for some of these negative entities to actually stay away from people that have sensitivity and things like that. Again, spirits that want to communicate and want to get your attention, those are typically the ones that's going to bother people that are sensitive to the paranormal. So I just thought I'd throw that out to you guys, because I know sometimes people wonder about that, about the attraction of negative and positive. And that really happens a lot too, even with my wife. She stands out a lot more than me in the darkness. And so she does tend to get a lot more positive spirits, just trying to communicate. It's not so much negative ones. Every once in a while, she'll get, one that she can tell is not that great, and she immediately, gets rid of them. She tells them, "Hey, you're not allowed to be here. You need to get out, whatever," and she kicks them out of her house. So we deal with that when it comes around, but again, we tend to get more curious visitors passing through like a train station or a bus station. They come and go, and you just have to deal with each one whenever you tend to get them. So keep that in mind. Now, if you're not sensitive to anything and you're just having paranormal problems, again, there's many reasons why those spirits are actually there. Again, in your case, it could be that maybe you have powers and you don't realize that they see you. Or again, there could be some type of attachment, could be relatives, could be, all types of things. Again, this is why you're going to have somebody come in and help you to figure out who it is. Spirits are notorious tricksters as well. They can trick people. So that's another reason why you got to kind of look out for certain clues. And again, this is why if you're an amateur, don't take on this stuff yourself. So ICU says, are you ever afraid a spirit might hang on and not leave even though you told it to? Not really. I think there was a time when we used to, but Terry Lynn has gotten really good at laying down the law, and myself. Like, we pretty much, if we let a ghost stay, which we did, we have like one ghost we let stay now. I don't know. I haven't experienced them a whole lot lately, but we have been getting some passerbys. But we set rules, okay? And we're very strict about them. And when we typically banish ghosts from our areas, they seem to go. And then we tend to get other ghosts later on. So sometimes I think people confuse additional paranormal activity with the same spirit. Sometimes it is. Again, it's really intent in how you handle this. Sometimes just saying, leave me alone, and stop bothering me. Why are you doing this? Those are things set out of fear, not intent. These spirits know our intention. They know how we are, and we're able to project that through our aura, through our psychic network, basically. So we're able to project that out there, and they know we mean business, and we shut it down. Whereas, again, other people that try and they're just either scared or they're not really trying, they're not wholeheartedly putting that energy out there. They're just like, quit, leave me alone, stop it, you guys suck. Whatever they say. That's where you'll find out that, even preachers and priests, when they come to your house and they bless houses and things like that, if they're not into it, if their intent is not there, they're just wasting oils and words. They're just, mouth diarrhea at that point, really. It's if you don't have that intention, if your heart's not there, if a priest comes and they're not right with Jesus, if they're not right with God, it doesn't matter then. Then they're not doing anything to your home. They're not blessing your home. They're not, cleansing your home. They're not doing these things. So we could get into like sages, and there's many different ways to cleanse homes, tackle these types of issues. But again, we don't need to get into all that. Right now, I just wanted people to truly understand, what does it take for you to get some relief when you're being haunted, something that you can do before you get some professional help. And again, and that is, don't panic, stay calm. I'm just kind of reiterating, don't panic, stay calm. Don't feed the ghosts. Don't feed it with that negative energy and yelling. I know it's frustrating. Believe me, we used to get frustrated when Terry Lynn and I first started. It's not like we were experts right off the bat. And when I say experts, that's kind of used lightly. But I'm just saying, it's not like we were, we would bring home ghosts sometimes from our investigations. We would get spirits. We lived by an Indian area, like a heavy Indian area, creek, and we would get visitors, and we had a spirit in our home. We started using the spirit boards. We were making things worse, and we didn't fully understand it yet. We were too new. We had to learn. So that's why I tell people, and so, but as we learned, as we started getting better over the years, whatever, that's just part of the learning process. So, so that's why I said, folks, get you some protection first. Protect yourselves. Okay. Um, Crystals, like we talked about, those 5 main crystals, pick one. If you can't, I would recommend probably the purple amethyst, right? Tara did good getting the amethyst. Then you got jet and shungite. Those are really good defensive protection stones. Okay. Just put one in your bedroom. Start with your bedrooms first. Again, always do your bedrooms first. That's where you're most vulnerable. Okay. Bedrooms. So make sure you have your protection in your bedrooms. All right. And yes, program each stone. So that's what I did when we first got our stones in our house. I rinsed them and programmed them for defense and put them in each room. My son's room, the office. I even got some down here in the studio. Everywhere, like in the major, like I said, in your bedroom areas for sure. What else? And of course, shop around. Don't just get the first paranormal investigators you find. Talk to them. Don't be afraid to talk to them. I know that it's a weird field of research, and it's hard to truly know the experts. But ask questions if you have to. Say, if you don't mind me asking, how long you've been doing this? Have you helped a lot of residential cases, or ask them. Have you been to a lot of homes? Have you helped people? And again, and I don't know, some people you can even probably look them up, see if there's any reviews on them. Sometimes there's reviews out there, but ask them. Don't be afraid to ask them, and see if they have any solutions, or potential solutions. Like, have you helped people and given them solutions, things like that. So let's see. I'm afraid I sort of over collected crystals when I lived in Utah. They have great crystal shows. Well, yeah, and I love crystals. Again, if it all depends. Crystals is something you really have to maintain. Like, sometimes people say, well, I know some people that have all kinds of amethyst and stuff in their house, and they have paranormal activity. Like, I don't understand. Remember, folks, you have to maintain your crystals. You have to program them. You have to cleanse them and program them, and every so often, program and cleanse them. So think about a battery, though. Imagine if you bought a rechargeable battery and you stuck it in your living room and you didn't use it forever. It just slowly dies. One day you go to use it and it doesn't have a charge anymore. You're like, oh man, you got to put it on the charger. All right. So every once in a while, you've got to take your stones. You've got to cleanse them. You got to put them out in the sun. Or some crystals, you can do moon charging. Again, I don't want to get into the whole crystal education. I just wanted you guys to know that you have to maintain them. You have to cleanse them every once in a while. You have to program them. You have to keep that active if you want to maintain it. Other than that, you walk in your house and it's just a collection of crystals, right? They just look pretty and they sit there, and they really don't have anything behind them anymore as far as that true protection. So just keep that in mind, that you're going to want to maintain them. So what else? But yeah, I think that's some of the major topics. Guys, if you have any last minute questions that you want to sneak in there, I'm going to start wrapping this up here in the next few minutes. I want to say real quick, I want to cover, of course, our sponsor. As you guys know, whoops, here. I know sometimes I get confused on the whole thing, but right here, Paranormal Underground Magazine. So, guys, as you know, Paranormal Underground Magazine, they're my sponsor. I love those guys. I almost feel like I work for them now. So let me just tell you a little bit about who we are. at Paranormal Underground Magazine. So we are a PDF, print-on-demand paranormal magazine dedicated to the reporting of paranormal phenomenon. Our writers and editors come from diverse backgrounds and offer a wide range of viewpoints about the paranormal. At Paranormal Underground, our primary goal is to explore the unexplained from all angles. We do this, we present in-depth articles about the paranormal, talk to paranormal researchers, present personal paranormal experiences, and track paranormal news. We provide coverage of all aspects of the paranormal, including ghosts, cryptids, UFOs, unexplained phenomenon, conspiracy theories, haunted sites, and more. We also discuss psychic phenomenon and spiritual topics. So, guys, go check out Paranormal Underground Magazine. Again, Paranormal Underground Magazine. Go to paranormalunderground.net. Go get yourself a subscription. And you know what? If you tell them, if you send them an email, say, hey, Josh from the Everything Paranormal Show sent me. And guess what? They will give you 1 free year. Okay. You will get an entire year of magazines sent to your email on the 1st of every month. In fact, tomorrow, guess what? I guarantee I'm going to get an email from them, and it's going to be tomorrow's October 1st edition. I can't wait to see it. So remember, Paranormal Underground Magazine, go check it out. Tell them I sent you. You're going to get a free year. All right. And, to be honest with you, my free year was up a long time ago, and they just keep sending them to me. So, guys, they're awesome. All right. So go check them out. Let's see. Hi, Tara. Hi, Terry Lynn, another Facebook user that I don't know who it is. So, hi, Facebook user. Another Facebook user. We know Tara is one of them. So I'm not sure who this one is, but so hi to you. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. If you haven't, again, if you have any questions last minute, try to hurry up and get them in. But I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. In the one thing, I'm your wife. What? Why would you say hi, Terry Lynn, if you were my wife? Anyways, so listen, see, now you're already messing me up. But no, seriously, for those of you for this, if you are experiencing paranormal, right, and you don't know who to turn to, please message us, message Terry Lynn and I, Facebook message us, whatever you got to do, message us and say, hey, or again, right here on the email, everythingparanormalshow@gmail.com. Message us and say, hey, look, here's what I got going on, and here's where I live. Can you help me find somebody? What can I do? And again, get some immediate relief. Oh, I get it now. So you were saying, on the okay, whatever. All right. Well, I can't tell. I just see nothing but Facebook user. I see nothing but 2 Facebook. I don't know if it's the same person, different person. I thought it was a new one saying whatever, because you were beyond the veil earlier. And first server, you're killing me, honey. You're killing me. You're killing me. All right. But on a serious, back to the serious note, message us. We'll help you out the best we can. Okay. We'll try to get you some relief over the phone, through internet, whatever we can. And we'll try to get you some help. And if you're close enough to us, we'll come help you personally. We're fixing to do that soon for somebody right now. But again, definitely, don't try to tackle it on your own. Don't go get some amateurs. Get some protection. Stay calm. So until then, until the next time, we will see you next Thursday for another Halloween edition, where we'll do some more fun stuff. Stay tuned for that. Again, we'll see you in the next video. Remember, seek the truth.